Wow. What the heck? Unexpectedly, there's a part 3 to this bracket. Excuse me? It's not like our show has a formula.
This hasn't happened before. Like, let's take a moment to appreciate history, all right? This is the first time we've ever had 3 episodes.
We took a moment. I guess with that, let's hop right into this one. Hello and welcome back. We're the Tough Cut Podcast. This is episode 20, part 3 of our coming of age bracket. And I'm Matthew.
I'm Swoosh.
Woody Harrelson, is that you?
Wait, sorry, Woody. I'm Jake, but who was that? Is Woody in the podcast?
I don't know if anyone else saw this going around social media. Some Deadline and Variety articles saying that Woody Harrelson changed his name to Swoosh Harrelson. It's fake, but he should do it.
Swoosh, there it is. Am I right?
As our podcast has been demonstrated to have quite a bit of industry power, Woody, the Tough Cut Podcast will never make another episode.
Yeah, wait. We just got our third episode, guys. We can't do this now. We have such steam.
We've got so much momentum.
Yeah. What if he's just mad that there's no Y at the end? So what if we call him Swooshy? Do you think he'd like that more?
Swooshy Harrelson.
Swooshy Harrelson?
Oh, because then it's like his hair is swooshy.
Swooshy. Or he's like really slurring. He's drunk at a sushi restaurant. You know?
Sushi.
I guess it's swooshy. That was my Woody Harrelson drunk impression. Was it good?
I thought last episode was the impression episode.
No,
Are we doing that bit again?
No. I would never repeat a bit. Never. We don't have a whole episode that's dedicated to a graveyard of dead bits or anything.
Well, we haven't talked about what on earth is coming at you in today's episode, so we should probably do that.
What an energy we have going on here.
What an energy we have at 4 in the afternoon. If you haven't guessed by our topics of conversation, our current bracket that we're talking about is coming of age. If you got that from our topics of conversation, I don't know how.
You're a fucking sleuth.
Coming of age bracket. We picked our favorite movies where young people realize what it means to be slightly older people and if it has a profound impact on their life or not. Yeah, pretty exciting. Coming up this episode, we've got Perks of Being a Wallflower versus Jojo Rabbit. And in the second half, we've got 8th Grade versus Lady Bird. I think we'll have some good combos.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, spoiler warning, we will be spoiling these movies. And, just in case you haven't seen these films and in case they come up with our topics, Perks deals with depression and suicide and very intense sexual situations, as well as 8th Grade deals with intense sexual situations. And Jojo Rabbit deals, with Nazism. So, be on the lookout for those if we're talking about them, just to give y'all a heads up. So, yeah. I'm excited, mostly because, guys, I have 3. All of my movies made it to the semis.
Jake, yeah, you got 100%. Well, okay, so theoretically, you could have 100% perfect bracket. 2 movies in the finals.
Holy shit!
And all 3 made it to the second round. That'd be pretty
Don't tell
wild.
Matthew that. He's already spite voting in his head. Look at him. He just got a glaze over his eyes, and he's just like, "I'm gonna fucking create a problem."
I'm going to vote for The Godfather Part 2.
right.
It's my favorite coming of age movie.
Yeah. And in that way, Mouse Hunt could definitely be a coming of age. Gore Verbinski just is,
Gore Verbinski is.
And always shall be. Should we get into the conversation?
I'm
Probably.
So excited.
That would make sense.
Well, let me introduce these movies since they're both mine, motherfuckers. For our first matchup, we got Perks of Being a Wallflower versus Jojo Rabbit. And Perks is about, this teen who is going through some really intense shit. It's his first year of high school. He befriends a group of seniors and he's, on the sidelines. He doesn't think anyone notices him. He's dealing with depressive stuff, but he finds friends and tries to figure shit out with all these people. And Jojo Rabbit, on the other side, is about a little kid. And it's during Nazi Germany. And his imaginary friend is Hitler. And he can't please Hitler, so he's real sad about it. And there's a Jew in his attic that his mom is hiding, and he has to come to grips with that. I nailed that.
Audience, I hope you fucking seen those two movies because those were
very spoiler heavy descriptions of the plot.
I was going to say they were incoherent.
So you know how JoJo did the thing, and then
and you can't please Hitler
Yeah.
and all those others.
So like,
mad
come on,
at
Eileen,
JoJo.
am I right? Like that's what these movies are about.
Yeah, that was really good.
Nothing better than that. Just guys being dudes. Just guys being dudes. Is what
Dudes
these
being
movies-
guys, Hitler being upset.
Anyway, does anyone else want to talk? I'm done.
Oh shit! I poured tea on myself.
Oh no.
Justice, the gods.
Guys being dudes, Hitler being upset, Matt being wet.
Okay, so let's get into actually comparing these two films. So I don't know exactly how to open this up to the floor, but I do think there is something interesting in Jojo Rabbit and its place in the bracket being like the one sort of more different setting left.
Right.
Because everything else we have remaining are like American kids in school.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's kind of like an interesting piece for JoJo to be holding on to. Yeah. So like, I don't know what, like, is that something you guys have considered? Like where does that piece play of like being the most setting different than the rest? And specifically, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah. I mean, for you're right. I was gonna actually mention like how like Perks feels like a very American, small town, suburban, like coming of age movie. You know, and this is JoJo's a very different thing. Making a coming of age movie in Nazi Germany. I don't know. I think that obviously you have a filmmaker like Taika who is a very like diverse person and a very like specific, like he doesn't make Americanized versions of things. He tries his best to put as much culture into things. And then you have Perks that really encapsulates a lot of like suburban culture and a pocketed culture of people. You know, like the I'm a weirdo sort of a deal, like the Rocky Horror people or the people who do like the arts or like fucking other shit. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely points towards JoJo for making a coming of age film that a lot of people can relate to that doesn't have to do with like dancing to Come On Eileen. You know what I mean?
It's it relate to despite having a setting that, you know.
What I really admire about Jojo Rabbit is the way that the setting initially informs the characters and then how the setting changes as the movie goes on, the more you learn about the characters.
I totally thought this film was going to be at the camp. Like when I first that's what I thought it was all going to be about. It totally like took me under the loop.
I think the fact that it is not just jokes about Nazis the whole time, and I think there is so much heart in the way that Taika portrays the destruction of this little German town. Matt, you talked about how funny you think the like attack scene is in this movie, but it also like I feel like it brings so much character to the town in a weird kind of way. All the cities destroyed, all of the like shepherds
all
and
the German
people
shepherds.
just like ruffling through garbage.
Yeah.
I feel like you just see so many German people that weren't Nazis, but were just
in the town. Yeah.
Which I think is such like a great distinction to see because, I mean, I don't remember where this quote comes from. It's from some movie. Actually, it's from the first Avenger, Captain America movie, where the
Stanley
doctor is
Tucci?
like the
You're
first
talking Stanley
country.
Tucci.
It's Stanley Tucci. The first country the Nazis invaded was Germany. It's like very cool to see the German people as like their own complex characters in this great narrative versus in Perks of Being a Wallflower, the setting informs your like expectations of all of these high school students, but then they slowly, I think it plays into Charlie's like perspective of all these seniors. He sees them at first as like people who have everything figured out. And then you slowly over the course of the movie realize like these seniors are going off to college, but they have no more figured out about the world than Charlie does.
Absolutely.
I think it's done. The setting plays such a huge role in these movies. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys like will agree with this, but clearly Perks is a very like personal movie to me. So I think I like project on it a lot of like my feelings and my childhood and all this stuff. But for me, both these movies feel fantastical in a way and deal with imagination in very specific ways. Obviously with Jojo, it's obvious, like, you know, his imagination carries through with him, and that is a driving force in how his mother like handles him and how he like handles the world and sees the world, his imaginary friend. But for Perks, it feels like, you know, that heavy fantastical imagery of like projecting your adolescence and being so like, this is what my idealized things are, like being like with somebody, what that means, what love means, what like.
How are you defining fantastical here?
Fantastical in a way where it's like there's a fantasy element to both of how they both think, but how Jojo and Charlie thinks. Like they live in this like fantasy that they have to kind of like come to grips and be as present as possible. You know what I mean? Like Jojo lives in this fantasy of like Nazi Germany and like this whatever, and then Charlie lives in this fantasy of what high school like should be and what he's desperately trying it to be because he really wants to hold on to something. So I don't know how you guys feel. Obviously, I feel like with Perks, it feels more personal to me that I view it that way because that's how I relate to that character as like projecting that fantasy of what things are supposed to be and then trying to fight so hard to be as present as possible to not escape that fantasy, but make it more realistic for your own life. So I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I definitely feel like a fantastical tone in Jojo Rabbit, less from he has his imaginary friend Hitler, but I feel like it's less about imagining things in that movie and more just about the tone and the childish.
There's whimsy to it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I get that as much in Perks. I know he has like his fantasies and he like imagines scenarios. The one that sticks out to me is the like when they're playing Truth or Dare.
Right.
Right. But I don't know that it sticks out as fantastical to me, I guess, in the
well,
the
it's
way
less
that
of a fun fantastical. Like it's not like a
Yeah, so I think I see where you're getting at, Jake, that like there is fantasy in terms of how Charlie is projecting. But I think I agree with Alex that like I don't know if I'd ever use the word fantastical to describe Perks, you know?
Right.
Which this isn't like a condemnation of Perks in any way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think it just deals with its subject matter in a very different way.
Yeah. I was wondering if you guys would, because like I know that's not a popular thing and I could totally see like not doing it, but for some reason like that's just how like I view Charlie's character and how he deals with things. And maybe it's like a more like realistic, fantastical thing that I feel like I've had to like gauge in my life, and I just think it's like super interesting.
I think that there's almost this piece of, because you apply so much of yourself and your own desire to be present,
right?
Because I don't think Charlie picks that. Like, I don't know if the character Charlie has that angle for most of the film. I think he's working to get there is sort of his piece. And I think you might be retroactively applying it.
Maybe, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I
mean, Jojo even like probably doesn't think it for a lot of the movie either, but like it's definitely a different journey.
Yeah. I feel like Jojo's journey is one of escape, I guess. Like a slow, gradual realization. Actually, both of these movies, I feel like, deal with disillusionment.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I talked about Perks earlier, but with Jojo Rabbit slowly, I guess, humanizing the characters beyond Jojo. Sam Rockwell's character, you don't get it as much with Rebel Wilson, but
and I don't think you should.
As she straps a grenade to a child. You don't get much humanization of her. No.
Yeah. But that's depth. That's showing there are different Germans who believe different things, and I applaud Jojo Rabbit for Rebel Wilson's character.
Jesus Christ!
Can someone quote him on that for like forever?
Hey, I have a different conversation.
Yeah, let's hop.
How about the fact that both of these movies end with David Bowie's Heroes?
Yeah,
what an interesting.
Isn't that fucking wild?
Like, yeah.
Soundtrack, baby.
Again, Perks is the blueprint, I'm telling you. But I also like I love hey, shut up. Laughing at me. No, but I think it's so wild. One, that I didn't even realize that. I mean, I picked both these movies and then I forgot that it ended in Heroes, and when I rewatched JoJo, I was just like, They're singing heroes in German.
Jake, do you have an important life event that goes to Heroes by David Bowie? Is there some subconscious element going on here?
So I was born a coal miner's daughter.
We could be heroes.
And David Bowie came down to me on a tiger riding lightning. And he told me, hey, you could be a hero. And he did it in that accent. I didn't even know David Bowie talked like that. He's like, you could be a hero. And I'm like, David, you've been faking it this whole time? He's like, yeah, fuck off. And then he fucked off. Yeah.
Nice.
And then he wrote Heroes after me. Don't
That's
check
so
the math
cute.
on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I won't look that up.
Do you think there's like a version
Cue
of
thunder lightning sound effect. Jake.
if I make a film,
Jake. I'm here. It's me, David Bowie.
right?
Alex, get in here. David Bowie's here. He's in the call. Alex, where are you?
I think he took over
Jake.
Alex's body. He's fucking dead, man. Alex is fucking dead.
Jake, I have something important I need to tell you.
Yes, David. Yes.
Jake,
Yeah.
we could be heroes just for one day.
You know,
Goodbye, Jake.
Oh my fucking
You know,
god,
Guys,
David.
what happened? I blacked out.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's just typical David taking over my
when you
friend's
listen to the
consciousness.
episode, you'll find out what happened. It'll be a
Oh,
surprise.
yeah.
You know, another comparison I want to jump into,
Oh,
and this is
I actually have more to say about the ending songs. So last time we talked about JoJo, I just remember, Jake, you kind of wrote off the ending of like, oh, they're just dancing. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, but that's the point, is that
It's
they
a
can
beautiful.
just dance.
No, I love
like,
it. Yeah.
The mom saying the whole movie how like you just like dancing means you're free, you just like have the chance to dance, like you can dance because you don't have to fight, you don't have to hate.
Even like Elsa, like they asked, like, what would you do? Like the first thing you do if you're free? She's like, I want to dance. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was such a strong theme. That's so fun. Like doing like love and dance, and even like when they asked JoJo, it's like, you know, Scarlett Johansson's like, love is the strongest thing in the world. And he's like, nuh-uh, there's metal and dynamite and muscles. And he's
so
like,
good.
She's just like, you're an idiot. You're a dumbass.
Yeah. But
Oh my
so
God.
I think the choice of song for me, for JoJo, we could be heroes just for one day, and they're dancing. So like dancing, making the choice to dance makes them heroes. And that's what I like read it as.
But in German.
In German. They're
Right.
German heroes. Germans can be heroes.
Yeah, no, I think if I ever made a film, every film I make is just gonna be a different version of heroes in just another language. Like my ending's just gonna be a Hebrew heroes. Like,
are you going to set the film in? Is it just going to be completely unrelated language,
unrelated.
or
It's
is
gonna
it
be
going to
a bit only for you guys and the people who ever listen to this podcast? You're gonna know. Like, I'm gonna make movies. They're gonna be like, why did fucking Spanish heroes like appear?
It's going to
That's
be. It's going to
wild.
take place in feudal China, and then all of a sudden, at the end,
I'm just gonna have like and everything. I'm gonna have like someone pop up, an ASL interpreter, just silence for the whole credits, just like sign heroes for the ending.
That would be
Like,
sick as hell.
That'd be dope, right? That'd be I don't know. That's my idea. Trademark. No one fucking steal it. And then Taika Waititi's gonna be my friend, and maybe Emma Watson.
I don't know where the oh, okay, actually, never mind. I see where
Yeah.
the Emma Watson one comes from.
Yeah.
I'm dumb.
No, you're still right. You should still question my sentence. Like, you're still right, but yeah.
I have another point of comparison. This will be a quick one, but this is going to, I think, be like a really, it's a big one.
Yeah.
So what kind of dragons do you think that Charlie and JoJo would have? Because I think they'd be pretty cool.
JoJo's would look so fucking cool.
JoJo's would be like shredded and huge. JoJo's dragon would be so cool.
End of the movie JoJo, not early JoJo.
Yeah, not early. Early JoJo would have a mustache. You know the one. I don't know what Charlie's would be. Probably something fucking like a mixtape with really sad music. It just plays.
I was thinking it's like a very mellow, like Blue Dragon that, like, I don't know, like hangs out with his earbuds and lives in a cave.
Hey guys, you can meet my dragon. This is Leonardo.
David, you're back. Holy shit, man. What's up? What's good?
Leonardo, do you have anything you want to say to the guys?
Hey guys, I'm Leonardo. Don't do drugs.
All right, bye guys.
Wow.
Oh no.
Dang, David Bowie. I was going to ask David Bowie where he was born, but
what?
I guess it's
David Bowie was here?
Oh my god. Alex, your nose is bleeding. Are you okay, dude? Are you all right?
Oh no. I fainted the sight of blood.
Wow. Thanks, guys. So that was the end of our improv show.
Wow.
Oh no.
Everyone loves listening to improv.
I feel like I have to ask one more question, and then we may have to vote here.
Yeah.
This one.
We haven't
this
talked,
one sucks.
we haven't had any real conversations, but I
could
do
have
feel like we need to
a
vote
real
soon.
conversation, but I also have like a question that I really wanted y'all's thing, and I wanted to ask the audience too. What would y'all's tunnel song be? What's your tunnel song?
I recently discovered a song. You know when you like hear a song and you just feel it in your bones and you just like can't stop listening to it? It's called On the Road and it's by Kian. I don't know how to say the guy's name. It's a jam and it gets me going. But you guys can listen to it. It absolutely slaps. I have no idea anything about the artist, so if he's super problematic, LMK.
I guess.
But
what's let me know if the artist is problematic.
So as topical as this is going to sound, genuinely think that the acoustics in a tunnel, this would be Chef's Kiss. Coming of Age by Blondes would be a fantastic tunnel song.
Wow.
Fantastic tunnel song.
So like a really sad one that's been like recently I felt like the main character, but like in like a oh god, but like in a beautiful way is like from Bo Burnham's new special, like the hands down, like pray, like All Eyes on Me.
All Eyes on Me. Yes, that would be a good tunnel song.
Right.
I don't know how that would find a place in the 2 a.m. playlist.
Yeah, no, that's like it's 2 a.m. Like I felt because I'm getting off work late, like I'm driving home, like in the fucking wee hours of this log thing, and I'm just like, yeah, I need catharsis.
yeah, I feel like the tunnel scene is interesting. I feel like it has so much potential to mean so many different things depending on the song that's played. Because if it's a sad song, driving slowly through the tunnel is like ominous. And then when you get out the other side, what does it mean when it's like a slow, sad song versus like Heroes, It's fun. Well, we don't have time to get into it. So should we vote?
Oh, man. Don't make me vote.
Well, you pitched them.
I sure did.
I think I'm ready. This is a tough one. They're both very good movies. Someone want to go first?
I can go first. I'm voting for Jojo Rabbit because I just adore this movie. I think it is wonderful.
I am also voting for Jojo Rabbit.
So, surprisingly, I'm also voting for Jojo.
Wow.
It really,
that's crazy.
I feel like I can be the most impartial when it comes to these things, even with personal movies on between our three lovely hosts. Perks is like literally one of the most important films to me, and even if I think it's great, I acknowledge that JoJo is such a good one, and I think your point of it being like literally not the stereotypical like high school like whatever, but still being such a powerful coming of age and being fun and being still like all these different layers of nuance, it's phenomenal, and I think it gets way more overall points.
We will explore some more of that in the final because there's some bad boys to unpack that we haven't even touched on.
Oh yeah, I have so much more to say. But please, I mean, I love Perks of Being the Wallflower.
It's a great movie. It really is.
If you are ever feeling like having those like feelings, whatever, like talking to people and like getting through catharsis and all this stuff, like watching art and like being able to experience that, and also being able to talk to people, please do. It's a lovely little thing, and it's an important little movie that addresses a lot of hard things that I think a lot of teens go through. But let's get to the second half, guys.
Let's hop right in.
Alex, do you want to introduce Lady Bird first?
I'll go first. Lady Bird.
Lee Bird sounds like a burger joint.
Yeah, me and the boys, we're going to swing by Lady Bird and get a couple of thick burgers and beers. So you down to swing by with us?
Nah, dude, I really want to get hoagies from Lee Bird instead. I love
Lee Bird.
Can't believe we're on the same street. All right, thank you.
Crazy,
so that's
bro.
the end of our improv show.
And with that improv interlude, I'll get into Lady Bird, released in 2018, directed by Greta Gerwig. Saoirse Ronan plays Christine Lady Bird McPherson. I said it right the first time. Go me.
Oh,
yeah.
She is a rebellious teenager who fights a lot with her mom, played by Laurie Metcalf. And she is experiencing the tumult of high school as she yearns to escape the only home she has ever known, and slowly comes to realize that while she wants to leave, it also is a huge part of who she is. And I think that's pretty.
And 8th grade, about someone in 8th grade, they're going into high school is fun.
Thanks, Jake. You've been really on the ball with your.
I feel like
nail on the head with that.
You know, I feel like I'm usually all right at these, and it's all right to not be all right at these. It's directed by Bo Burnham, though, 2018, and we're talking about it just in time for his new special. Go watch it. I don't care. He's not paying me. This is just a plug for it.
If Bo Burnham ever pays me to do anything, and he won't, that'd be pretty cool.
What kind of? I don't like your ominous tone with that, though. I don't like the anything. You know. Would you do like anything? Like, have you just asked like to do anything? What's your line?
There's definitely lines.
If Bo Burnham asked you to do anything, what's the limit? How far would you go with Bo Burnham? Would you commit crimes with Bo Burnham?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh.
Depends the crime, though.
All right, CIA, we got him.
No,
we got him, guys.
Oh, no!
Fuck.
Just kidding. That was another. Hey, guys, that was the end to our third improv show.
Holy shit,
thank you so much for coming.
How much
now
improv
listen
is too
to
much
the rest of the
improv?
podcast.
You're about to find out on this episode of the Time.
Anyone got any comparisons about these movies?
I can go first yet again if you guys don't have one.
Yeah. Why don't you go for it, Matt? Why don't you start us off?
I feel like we leave time every single time to like write down a couple of things to talk about, and you guys never fucking write it.
I literally don't know how to compare these movies.
Oh, okay, cool. We're yeah. So.
Oh, wait. I do have one thing. I have one thing that we could compare about these movies. If you want me to go first.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Alex.
Both these movies got big important parent characters. Let's talk about it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting topic to kind of compare, because on one side we have Lady Bird, who we get to see two very different types of parental relationships. Obviously, her relationship with her mother is the more central of the two to her story.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that we see a lot of similarities between Lady Bird's father and Kayla's dad.
Yeah.
They are both like extraordinarily proud and loving of their children, which isn't to say that Lady Bird's mother is not, just that they have a much more divisive and different relationship. And I wonder how Bo would have set the stage in a different way if he'd had a more traditional nuclear family.
Right.
With two present parents. Like, would he have opted to have like both parents be super supportive, loving, or like have this one that there's this, more dichotomous relationship with?
I wonder too if the relationship would have been like, okay, if 8th grade wasn't 8th grade, if it was a high school story going off to college, if the relationship would be different, because it kind of feels to me like in Lady Bird, her relationship with her dad is the continuation of
Kayla's relationship with Mark.
Right. It's interesting. I think what I really like about Lady Bird, what Lady Bird's depiction of the like loving father does, is you see another perspective of the father, because I guess this is because Lady Bird is less from Lady Bird's perspective versus 8th grade is very much from Kayla's perspective. But in Lady Bird, you see the dad struggling to like find a job, competing with the brother in the like same positions. You know, I think we see very similar relationships, but very different perspectives.
It's a good point, actually.
Yeah. I see these films as like very much a testament of the filmmakers, which if you're making coming age film, I feel like, obviously has to be poured into, but it really pours into this for me. Like, because both these filmmakers wrote and directed it, right? Greta Gerwig wrote and directed Lady Bird, I believe. And obviously Beau wrote and directed 8th Grade. And I feel like it's such an interesting thing that Beau did, choosing his, like, because this is like how he felt. Like, his surrogate for a story was a 13-year-old girl. And there's a bunch of like interviews that he did where it's like, it just felt right. Like, that's how like I felt. And like, that's how like I feel about my alter ego and all that. But
I feel like Beau is very much in both of those characters. Like, there is so much of Bo Burnham in Kayla, and there's also so much of him in Mark, like you can see they're two sides of a very similar coin, where one is this like totally, I want to say self-absorbed, but that's not like it's not the right tone. I think just like the way that an 8th grader is like unaware of the rest of the world is like so focused on their world and their perspective. And then Mark as like this man who's unable to express the way that he like loves and cherishes his daughter.
This is actually like one of the things I wanted to talk about from the perspective of Greta and Beau writing both of these films.
Mm-hmm.
A little more roundabout way than I wanted to initially get at it.
Oh, well then never mind. Don't talk about it then, Matthew.
We'll drop the topic. We'll never hear about it again.
Let's talk about how Timothy Chalamet.
Let's talk again about Timothy Chalamet.
Kind of dragging with Timothy Chalamet.
Call me by your name, guys. Let's talk about it.
Something I think is really interesting is both of these films have a cast of what I believe to be like pretty well developed characters, particularly Kayla, and then probably like complex characters that have like their ups and downs, feel like real people. What I think is really interesting is I think Lady Bird is much more a direct reimagining of Greta herself. Like she was born in Sacramento. She like, it is steeped in her own nostalgia of growing up. Whereas there is, sure, it is this surrogacy of writing Kayla, but I do think that there is more space for Beau to write with Kayla's character that I just think is like a really interesting difference in how these characters are written and the perspectives that their authors come at them from.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like super interesting just because like Beau, I mean, he made this movie as a projection of his like anxiety and like worrying about his own image and like how the world perceives him. And you either have to be this, at the time, like 25-year-old male comedian or a 13-year-old girl in this like uncomfy social space and how people see them. And growing up in the age of like social media and anxiety, and like when he talks about like, because he did Make Happy before this, like blending of like performer and performance, this is like almost what this is encapsulated in that like anxiety filled like movie. I do think Beau, yes, like Greta Gerwig, like yes, Sacramento, like it's more to a T, but I do think Beau in almost a more fun way explores himself, which might be what you were getting at.
Yeah, that is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, the story and the setting and everything in 8th Grade is more of a metaphor for Beau's experience than Lady Bird is.
Sacramento is literally Sacramento.
Right.
I actually, you kind of talking about Sacramento made me wonder, I guess, what Greta Gerwig's relationship is with the tech industry in and around Sacramento. And like, if that was her more exploring the way that Sacramento has changed over time versus like her own experiences. Like, I wonder if, because like tech conglomerates are constantly lending towards younger people fresh out of college, stuff like that. So I wonder if that was more a commentary on Sacramento or if that was about like her experience.
I think that's very possible. I unfortunately don't know the exact time frame of when she was growing up compared to like local industry in Sacramento. But I do think it is very evident that like Lady Bird is a reflection of her own experience. Like she grew up daughter of a nurse, like in Sacramento, went to an all girls Catholic school, You know, like it is not necessarily meant to be a pure portrayal of her own experience, but it is very clearly steeped in her own nostalgia.
I think a very, I guess, interesting point. We talked a little bit about this already. I think comparing parents, comparing Mark with Marion, Lady Bird's mother.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way that the relationships exist at the end of the movies, I think is a very interesting comparison, because Kayla with Mark, they reconcile, right? And he is able to kind of give her a little bit of confidence going forward into high school. But comparing that to Laurie Metcalf's character, I think it's so tragic that in Lady Bird, they don't have that reconciliation in person.
Yeah.
When Lady Bird's mom comes back, like drives around, does the loop and ends up back at the airport, she's already gone, you know? And I think that it's so beautiful, the tragedy of missing her. It's so good.
This is a weird thing that okay. We may, I don't know if I'm going to be able to articulate this well, so feel free to cut this shit. Something I really actually appreciate a lot in movies, especially coming of age movies or whatever, is like them like portraying like the awkwardness of like sex and like sexual like things. And I thought the awkward like sex scene of like Lady Bird was so like funny to me, and her be like, I lost my virginity like while being on top. Like, who does that? And like that was so funny. But also in 8th grade, the like banana like blowjob like thing with the dad and the banana, like that shit was so funny to me. Like, and it was so specific. I was like, man, oh man, or like kissing someone's hand and like I'm like, wow. So great and honest and like weird. And yeah, I just think that's such a...
I do think there's the interesting piece that 8th grade also takes things a step further,
right,
onto like the other side of like that sexual situations and pressure from other people can be like a really uncomfortable and bad experience as well.
We are like in the car like with Kayla, like it's close, it's like crowded, it's limited cuts, like you are hanging on there, it's like harsh, genuine like fear and gaslighting, anxiety. And like
when that guy like moves from the front seat into the back with her, God,
it's awful. But it's like a very real thing and a very real scenario. And portraying that and all of that with the anxieties in that movie is just such a like a beautiful like thing to put it in a film that already feels like tense. Like it's a tense little like movie. But you're right, Matthew, whenever like they play with the funny like banana whatever blah blah blah, but then like taking the step further to do that is like Jesus. And like Lady Bird plays with it in a like more fun, jovial tone, but it's still like this is a thing that happened. It's like, oh my fucking God, like ridiculous sort of a deal.
They handle it very differently. I think I really appreciate how in 8th grade, after they stop playing Truth or Dare, how he moves back into the front of the car and you like see the scene of driving home and being dropped off and her saying she's sorry. Like,
yeah, awful.
I feel like that is such a good addition to that whole sequence.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Like the way Bo interweaves like the really like more intense feelings of 8th grade and just of Kayla's character is like such a hard thing to watch, but such a like real thing to watch that brings back a lot of stuff that like we take for granted. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself, but like I take for granted like those like scenarios where I either blocked it out or like I grew past it, so I'm like, okay, whatever. Like it's like an intense little thing, and like to see it on screen to be done in such a like elegant way is like very, very reassuring in a very like confrontation way, which is like Bo's brand right now. So
sure. I mean, I'm sure we could talk ad nauseum about Bo Burnham and the art that he creates. And, you know, in its most honest form, 8th grade is just another iteration of the art that Bo has steeped himself in. Are you fucking watching a video on your phone, Jake?
That sound that's Marina making this smoothie, I think.
Oh, I thought it was like you were playing a video of someone sawing something because I saw you get on your phone.
Oh, no. Sorry.
So I was really confused.
All good.
I was like, why is he watching a video of someone sawing something?
Yeah, dude, whatever the fuck Matthew was saying, nah, dude, Saw video. I'm watching the new Saw. Actually, Spiral's really good.
Damn, they got a guy with a table saw and like he cuts stuff with it.
Yeah.
Something I want to bring up for all the love I have for eighth grade, and obviously this is purely anecdotal. So when the film came out, I have younger siblings that were like near-ish Kayla's age.
Mm-hmm.
And when they saw this movie, they really didn't enjoy it.
Mm.
With their criticism being it didn't feel like their experience at all. Obviously, it's, this is the perspective of just a couple of people, because I'm sure there are lots of kids out there that felt this echoed. But it's kind of something that stuck with me of like, do I only like eighth grade because of the feelings I can project onto it versus remembering what the actual lived experiences were like? For this like meta piece of how Bo is using Kayla as kind of a reflection of himself and his own anxieties, is that what I'm more interested in? Or am I more interested in Kayla's experience as a character and a person? And it's something I'm like not sure how to piece apart. And this is a big thing to throw at the very end here, but like, it's just something I feel like I can't not mention.
It's interesting because like, if we're talking about what the best coming of age film is, right? I think it is important to realize, and kind of like our votes, like with like Lady Bird and like the past episode, whatever, it's like there are coming of age films that resonate with more people. And is that more important? Or is that like whatever? And I also like, I wondered when I first saw eighth grade, I was like, how would I feel watching this in eighth grade, in like actual like living in that experience and in that moment? But also being in eighth grade, you're probably looking at that film like, I don't see myself like that, or like whatever, or like putting up like
my life
wall.
Isn't that cringy. I'm freaking rad, dude.
Fucking
I'm getting blowjobs left, right, and center.
And center? That's it. All right. And left and right. I don't know.
So speaking as someone who was sick as hell in eighth grade.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Well, okay. So I was like, I had my troubles in eighth grade. I was a sad, lonely kid. I had friends and I like did things, but I mean, I felt sad and lonely, but my life was never as cringy as Kayla's. And so I think like for me, when I watched it, the discomfort for me watching this movie, and like, I really kind of couldn't relate to it. And so, yeah, I was like the whole time watching it, I was really pulled out of it, just feeling uncomfortable. And I recognize the artistry in it and the storytelling. But for me, like the discomfort of the character really made it difficult for me to relate to the story. And so I wasn't able to like project. And so like I see the narrative weaving that Bo Burnham does, but I don't know. It's not my,
which I think is
cup of tea.
Part of what my siblings were getting at is it just doesn't feel like their lived experience, which again, like that's purely anecdotal. It's one small subsect of people, but it's just something that I think about when it comes to this movie.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think of eighth grade as when I watch it just as a very specific, like even the relationship with like the father and like being like embarrassed of like certain things. But honestly, and it's a comparison we didn't talk about, but both Lady Bird and Kayla like are both embarrassed of their situations at home and their like families, right?
Yeah.
Like Lady Bird like does this like embarrassing like saying she lives in a different home and like does all these different things, and Kayla with the whole like drop me off like somewhere else, like dude, and the same thing with Lady Bird, like that anxiety of like being embarrassed about where you're from is such a prevalent thing in both of these movies. But yeah, I mean, do you guys think that Lady Bird is more of a universal like feeling, like a more of a universal like?
So the more that I think about it, what comes to my mind in eighth grade is how the movie starts off with Kayla doing her vlog about trying to be yourself versus someone you're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then how she spends the whole movie in a very uncomfortable way trying to be what people want her to be instead of being herself around people. And I think what she's doing is so incredibly relatable, but I think because she's so bad at it, it's just it detracts from it in a way.
Detracts
I guess
from it.
like I'm so uncomfortable watching it that I'm not able to relate to it, even though like trying to be what other people want you to be is such a relatable thing that everyone goes through. So in a way, I feel like eighth grade is more relatable, because I feel like Lady Bird's situation is very specific and very honed in. Versus, I feel like eighth grade is
you guys
more
aren't from Sacramento,
like broad and applicable.
I don't know why that got me. That was not that funny.
Sometimes I just throw in some jokes for Matthew in the podcast, guys. That was my joke a day for Matthew.
Thank you. Sorry.
But yeah,
Alex.
so I feel like the discomfort in 8th grade detracts from how relatable it should be in my mind.
So something I think is really interesting with asking like, hey, is Lady Bird like more relatable? What have you? We talked about it we personally know a lot of people that relate a lot to Lady Bird. But I mentioned, and it was the first time I'd seen it, my very first reactions is I had it's a very interesting film to me that I have some kind of weird feelings toward it of like, I don't relate to much of that experience.
Right.
I see the narrative weave that Greta is pulling through, the reflection of her own self. And like, sure, there are relatable elements, but it's, I think, interesting that I feel like I have the reverse experience
the same,
but for different
Adam.
reasons. Like I am projecting my own bits of things onto 8th grade versus I think I'm so distant from Lady Bird and Greta Gerwig's experience that I don't find much of that relatable. But I recognize other people's relatability to it.
Maybe the reason I relate to Lady Bird versus you, Matt, is because I was a theater kid in high school.
Yeah.
And you were not.
I fucking bullied you nerds. That's a joke.
I don't know what it says about
school.
me that I relate to both of these, though. Like, I don't know what it means. Like, I genuinely relate to like the Lady Bird stuff. The stuff that stands out to me the most is like the talking about like costs and all that stuff, and like growing up and being like kind of like embarrassed and not knowing why you're embarrassed of like, all like money and like how like
something that's literally not, it's completely out of your control as a child.
And then 8th grade being like, as she was talking about in the beginning with her like video blogs and like, being someone who's just trying to be yourself and like do whatever. And the relationship she has with her father is one that like is like wishful and I think the friendship she has, especially like the nugget scene or whatever, are like things that like I stand out to me in like my childhood and just trying to be that person. But I wonder, like, you guys are so opposite, like for different reasons, on that. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm both of these ladies.
You sit in this position of like you have the relatable personal experiences that Lady Bird necessitates that I don't. But
you're not so uncomfortable with 8th grade that you can relate to it.
Yeah. Because like I know I was also a cringy motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, trust me.
I also had a YouTube channel. Like I straight up don't Google it. Please don't Google.
Is it still on YouTube?
Is this the same one you sent that unlisted video to me from, or is that a different YouTube channel?
I don't remember what unlisted video I sent you.
I'll keep that one in the back pocket then.
Yeah, you found it, didn't you?
Video? Oh my God, Jake, you're so young.
One of my videos has 2K, and it was a cover of Julian Smith, that YouTuber. It was one of his songs he did. I did a cover of it.
Wow, that's cute.
Jake, you're a baby. A little beardless baby.
Yeah, I guess that's a treat for the fans.
Yes, please. Should we vote?
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, I feel the need to explain myself, but I'll save it for the end. But I am voting for Lady Bird.
I'll go next. Yeah, I'll hop in. I'm voting for 8th grade.
I am also voting for Lady Bird.
Nice. I mean, good picks. I mean, very, very solid. Like, I'm not mad at that.
I couldn't let 2 of Jake's picks make it to the finals.
Yeah.
Spite vote successful.
That was a joke. I voted for Lady Bird because I like it more. Honestly.
Yeah, no, that's always
That's
your
your
criteria.
energy,
That's
Alex.
always your criteria.
Yeah.
And you couldn't have 2 little kids, we have to have some like teens and then also represent different age groups,
So I think what it came down to for me is that fact, like, I think I personally relate to more in like 8th grade more. And personally, I think it might be a better movie, but I'm not going to open that can of worms.
I mean, we can in the finale.
Well, we can't because 8th grade's not in it anymore.
Well, if you thought that Lady Bird is
we'll talk about it.
Right.
But there is this fact that there are so many people that relate to Lady Bird in such an important way. I think it would just be a disservice to like that category. Whereas I can't pull apart this piece with 8th grade of like, do I just relate to it because of this meta piece, or is it like actually a lived experience, like not just from my own memory, but for people of the age now? Like, is it just 25-year-old white dudes, 30-year-old, or you know what I mean? Like,
I think maybe you having your like siblings too, like really edge that out, because I think I was in kind of a similar like boat as you. But for me, like I rationalized it to the point where I was like, yeah, I think, no, I actually do. Like, this does mean a lot to me, and it's very specific. And if it can mean that so much to me in that specific like realm, then I'm going to go for it.
I guess that's true. My personal relationship to it, like how much I relate to it, I guess I didn't weigh that enough in part of it.
No, but either one's valid, but we have a finale, guys.
I mean, as we said, this was such a fucking stacked bracket. If you haven't watched the movies in this one, go check them out. As Jake said, we have a finale. So coming at you in the finals of Coming of Age, we've got Jojo Rabbit versus Lady Bird.
That's an exciting matchup. I did not expect that for the finale, honestly.
Neither did I.
These are not the movies I would have picked. And I'm very scared because I very much love both of these movies. And this is the first matchup where I truly have no idea what I'm going to vote for.
Wow. And we'll also have honorable mentions. We've been canvassing and getting those. So we'll be including your honorable mentions, audience, as well as our own. With that, if you enjoy the show, like, subscribe to it on all your favorite podcast platforms. And who should they tell this time, folks?
Who should they tell this guy?
Did we already say to tell your mom? Was that last week?
We did last.
Yeah, don't tell your fucking mom. If anything, tell her to stop listening and make someone else listen. Yeah, I'm tired of your mom listening to the last
episode, and it actually was kind of weird.
I hated all the
mom to stop listening.
I hate mom Twitter. I'll say it right now.
Look, I asked for Twitter stands, and I didn't get a single mom stand. So
wow.
Single moms in your area.
No, God, no, please.
With that, I don't know. I was hoping someone would say something. Take cover, child.